Hey everybody, welcome to Mammoth Interactive's YouTube channel. First of all, I want to thank you for watching this video. And remember that this channel doesn't do Patreon. Instead, we sell our digital courses down below. And every single dollar that we get from the products you buy below goes into making more content. The best way to help out this channel and Mammoth Interactive is to subscribe to Mammoth Interactive's huge library of content. Get thousands of hours and hundreds of courses for a low price down below. We have a monthly option and a yearly option. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the video.
Hello and welcome to our tutorial on variables in C++. Now variables are used to store values of our choosing and have a specific type. This determines how much space in memory that the compiler needs to allocate for that particular variable, as well as the range of values that this variable can take on. For example, a variable of type integer cannot contain letters, can only contain numbers. The main types of variables that we will look at are booleans, characters, integers, floats and doubles, and strings, although there are a couple more that are not used so commonly. Let's take a look at how to create and assign variables. Now I'm going to create a variable, and let's call this variable, and let's give this the type void for now. We won't really be using this type later on, but as we get into different types, then we'll get more specific. For now, we'll just use void. This is what we call a variable declaration. We have created and named a variable, and we've given it a type, in this case void. Now this specific variable has no value yet. It's just been created, and often the compiler will assign it an arbitrary value. We'll get a bit more into that later. Let's just give it the value 56 for now. Now this is called a variable initialization. We have not only declared the variable, but we've given it a value as well. Now there are two types of variables: global and local variables. Global variables appear outside of the scope of the function and can be used throughout the code, whereas local variables are specific only to a function. We'll get a bit more into functions in later videos. But for now, consider this a global variable, and if we were to create one in here, let's call this variable 2, would be considered a local variable, because outside the scope of these curly brackets here, it does not exist and nothing will recognize it. Alright, that's a basic introduction to variables. The first ones we'll be looking at are booleans. Thanks for tuning in. Hello and welcome to our video on booleans in C++. Now a boolean is a type of variable that has only one of two states. It can be either true or it can be false. Think about a true-false question on a test. Again, the answer is either true or false, or even a binary value that can take on either a 1 or a 0. In fact, that's exactly how the C++ compiler recognizes Boolean values. It recognizes a true value as being a 1 and recognizes a false value as being a 0. Now, to solidify your understanding, we'll use the example of a door. Now, a door can have only one of two states. A door can be open, or a door can be closed. Now, both of these variables are going to be of type Boolean, because we want them to be either true or false. So we'll declare the type here. Now what we've done is we've declared our variable door open and door closed to be of type Boolean, but haven't given them a value yet. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So let's say door open is true, and let's say door closed is false. Now if we go down to the main function, let's get rid of this, and let's print these two out to see what the values are. Now instead of printing out either true or false, the compiler will print out a 1 or a 0. Again, 1 being true, 0 being false. So if all goes well, we should expect the console to show a 1 for door open and a 0 for door closed. Let's scroll to the bottom, we'll click run it, and indeed we get a 1 for door open And now let's check door closed. And we get a 0 at the bottom there, which is excellent. That's exactly what we want. And that's basically all there is to declaring and initializing booleans. Our next video will be on characters. Thanks for tuning in. Hello and welcome to our tutorial on characters in C++. Now a character can be pretty much anything from a letter to a number to a symbol, as long as it's of only length 1 and is in the single quotation marks. Let's see what that looks like now. We start by calling it char, which is character. Let's call this one A, and let's give it this value of A. Now this is a character here because it's of length only 1, and it's in the quotation marks. This, however, would not be a character because it's of length 2. And same with this. This is no longer a character either because it's outside of the quotation marks. However, we could put numbers in here, or we could even put symbols. Let's put an exclamation mark there. And all of these are valid characters. Now, characters are very useful if you want to extract only one letter or one number or one symbol in a word. Let's consider the word mammoth. I'm just going to go ahead and comment this word out so that the compiler ignores it. So the word mammoth has 7 characters in it. The first character being an M, second character being an A, and the last character being an H. Suppose we only wanted the second character. We could do that. We could extract it and we would get the character A. Now let's just print off these characters that we've created here to make sure that the compiler is okay with what we've done so far. So if we print out the character A, we'll scroll to the bottom, we'll click Run It, and we get character A. Let's try character B. Again, replace that, scroll to the bottom, and we get a 1 being printed. And finally, we'll do character C. We'll scroll to the bottom, we'll click Run It, and we get an exclamation mark. Excellent. Well, that's all there is to declaring and initializing characters. Our next video will be on integers. Thank you. Hello and welcome to our tutorial on integers in C++. Now, integers are perhaps the most common way of representing numbers. They can take on positive, negative, or 0 values, but cannot contain decimals. Let's use the example of a bank account to solidify our understanding. Now, a bank account will have a current balance, which is however much money you currently have in your account, and it will have a minimum balance, of which there'll be penalties if you dip below. Let's give our current balance the value of 500, and the minimum balance will be 100. Now perhaps we're requesting our current balance. We're an ATM and we want to know how much money is in our account. Let's go ahead and replace that. We'll scroll to the bottom, we'll click Run It, and the console prints out 500, which is indeed our current balance. Now we can add, subtract, multiply, or divide integers and perform a variety of other operations. Let's just stick with the basics now. Let's say we want to make a deposit. And let's say we want to make a deposit of $50. So this will be adding to our account. So what we'll do here in the main function is we will make that deposit. So our current balance will then be equal to whatever our balance is now, plus however much we're depositing, which in this case will be $50. So our new current balance will be 500 plus 50, so it should be 550. Let's go to the bottom and see if the compiler is agreeing with us, and it is. Our new current balance is $550. Now, let's pretend that transaction didn't happen. This time we want to make a withdrawal. So in this case, I'm not going to create a variable for the withdrawal. I'm just going to go ahead and subtract a random number from it, just to demonstrate a variety of different operations. So our new current balance after the withdrawal will be our current balance right now minus, let's say we're taking out $100. Let's see what our new current balance should be. Should be 500 minus 100, so our new balance should be 400. We'll scroll to the bottom, we'll click Run It, and we get the console printing out 400, which is exactly what we want. It's basically the same procedure for multiplying and dividing, but I won't demonstrate that here. Feel free to try that on your own time. Well, that's just about all you need to know about declaring and initializing integers, and our next video will be on floats and doubles. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, and welcome to our tutorial on floats and doubles. Now these are ways of representing numbers with decimal places, which integers could not do. Floats can typically represent about 7 decimal places, whereas doubles represent 14. Now this level of precision isn't necessarily needed for basic coding. It's only really relevant with massive data sets or when you need extreme precision. Our console actually only prints out 6 decimal places, but for both floats and doubles it recognizes 7 for this compiler. Let's go ahead and show you an example of how many decimal places it can recognize. So we'll first create a float, we'll name this I, and then we'll create a double, let's name this J. We'll give the float the value of 0.111116, and we'll do the same for this. And in this case we'll actually print them both out, so we'll need to modify the statement a little bit. So what I'm doing here is just ensuring that the line will end and a new line will begin. So if we scroll down to the bottom, we'll hit Run It, and it prints out both of them exactly as they were written above. Now, to demonstrate how many decimal places these both recognize, let's do something where the compiler will be forced to round up. So let's say 0.111146. So now the compiler should recognize this 4 and this 6 here. It should round this up to a 5, but not include this. And we'll do the same here. We'll just add the 4 in here. So if we scroll down to the bottom, we'll hit Run It, and in both instances the compiler has recognized the 4, 6, and it's rounded it up to a 5 to display on this screen. Now floats and doubles in this case are interchangeable, so let's just stick with floats for now. Let's give you a more relevant example. How about a bill and a tip? So let's say a restaurant bill, we'll call this bill, comes to $15.63 with the tax. And let's say we want to give a tip. So let's call this float tip, and we'll assign this the value of 15%. Now what we want to do is find 15% of this number, 15% of the bill. So in order to do that, we have to take our bill and we have to multiply it by 0.15 to get 15%. So let's go ahead and do that now. We'll get rid of this line because we no longer need it, and we'll just have the console print out the value of tip. So if we scroll down to the bottom there, we click Run It, the console prints out 2.3445, which I'm going to go ahead and trust is the bill, which is 15.63 times 0.15. So this is very handy for tip calculators, whereas an integer would just round it up to the nearest whole number. Alright, that's just about all you need to know about floats and doubles, Our next video will be on strings. So thanks for tuning in. Hello and welcome to our tutorial on strings in C++. Now strings are not so different from a list of characters. However, a list of characters is a block of many individual units, whereas a string is treated as just one single unit. I'll show you what I mean here. Just make a couple of comments to show you the difference. So in one we have just the word mammoth, and in the other we have a string mammoth. Now, in the first case, this is just 7 characters, so 7 individual characters forming one block. However, in the second case, we have just one string of length 7. So rather than being 7 individual characters, or rather 7 individual blocks, it's just one block. Now strings are very useful for conveying messages in your code, and I'll show you exactly what I mean right now. So because strings are part of the standard library, we have to include standard and the 2 colons before the word string, just like with cout here. So let's create a string. We'll call this mammoth. So here we have a variable of type string, and we'll give it the value mammoth interactive. And we'll include some numbers, and we'll include a couple of exclamation marks just to show you that we can have a mixture of letters, numbers, and symbols, and anything within the quotations is recognized as part of the string. So rather than hello world, we'll print out our string of choice. Get rid of that. Scroll to the bottom, click run it, and as we can see, we get the console to print out Mammoth Interactive 2016 with 2 exclamation marks. That's excellent. Now let me show you what would happen if we try to print out Mammoth Interactive 2016 without having formed the string. So we've typed that out. We'll scroll to the bottom, we'll click run it, and we get errors. So this is why we need to form a string first, because it's very useful for outputting messages. Alright, that's just about all you need to know about declaring and initializing strings. Our next video will be on arrays. Thanks for stopping by.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching this course. If you want to watch the rest of the course, the link is down below. Not only will you get the access to this course, but you'll get access to a lot of other courses in a huge bundle, and it's on sale today. So buy it before the sale ends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.